build the best football team in the SEC conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown! The Gators! Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys, girls, ladies, gents. Welcome to another episode of Stadium in Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Beautiful Monday morning, same corner, same time. I look forward to doing this with you guys, man. How y'all boys feeling? Y'all good?
Just recovering from the weekend. And Gasparilla, you know what I mean?
That's the Dan we know right there. That's the Dan we know.
Yeah. So,
buddy.
Put that on your
city I live
tombstone. Recovering from the weekend, man.
yeah, the city that I live in was invaded by pirates this week.
That's crazy.
So, Gasparilla, those of you guys that aren't familiar, is a made-up holiday in Tampa where a group of fake pirates invade the city and they have a parade both on sea and land. They had about 500,000 people here this weekend. I've learned that it's the third largest parade in America, but it's just a bunch of people, all sizes, shapes, and ages, just getting drunk for an literal entire day.
Listen, you don't need to give a red-blooded American an excuse to get drunk.
No.
And then you're adding some pirate lore to the drunken debauchery.
It's
Sign
nuts.
up 500,000 people.
Dude, when I moved here like 10 years ago, I had heard of Gasparilla, but I had never been. I love it. It's a ton of fun. But I was telling the boys before the show, I think this is the last year that I'm going to do the parade.
No,
Hey,
man.
Like
Maybe this
Dan.
time next year we're having the same conversation, and I'm putting up the pirate hat, putting away the sword, and putting the swashbuckler away. But I think I'm paraded out now. This time was the tipping point.
Spam Peg Leg Dan in the comments for me. Give him some encouragement to show up to Gasparilla 25.
Oh, still be doing Gasparilla festivities. Don't get me wrong, but just not on the parade route.
I seen some people do Gasparilla on boats and whatnot, like a whole vibe. I haven't done Gasparilla yet, so you can't quit just yet, bro. Like,
Yeah. No,
wait for me to get out there, and then we have a,
Seems like the boating highways would also be clogged.
I don't know if I trust people on boats any more or less than people on land, but at least on land, I have complete control of where I go.
That's true.
On a boat. It's a little too much. I wouldn't mind being on a captained boat, but I've seen people out there. I see the drinks in their hands, and I see the way that they drive their boats, and it's just not an
a real pirate vibe, though. You're not a real pirate vibe if you're not on the water. You feel me?
Maybe I'm just not a real pirate then. Maybe I'm just not ready to handle the seas. How was y'all's weekend?
Easy weekend. I spent all week on PTO. Loved it.
Nice.
Get some time to recharge. Jaden Rashada tried to steal me of my January for a second year in a row, but I took time off this January because baseball's starting. Last year, baseball took me all the way up to my wedding, so taking a week off, recharge the batteries, come back ready to go.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Might just put in for PTO this week too. Yeah, felt great.
Back to back, you must got it stacked up. You don't run out early in 2024, man. You got to save some, man.
Just call me Drake. We're going back to back.
I don't think I'll be doing that.
I had a good weekend, man. No complaints on my behalf. I'm enjoying the weather. It's not freezing cold, but it's a good break, and the summer's on the horizon. So
Yeah.
South Floridians, we gotta appreciate any cool weather. Went down to Miami, filmed some with Tyreek Stevenson. We just stacking up content on the roll up side of things for a relaunch in a few weeks here. So we just stockpiling. Got to head to the Pro Bowl in Orlando this weekend to get some more content off. So just been vibing, man. Had family in tow. That's just been the vibes. Work, family, just kicking it. No PTO yet.
Is that Tyreek's home that you were at?
No, that was a production condo down in Miami.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's smart enough not to buy or rent or do anything in South Florida on that rookie contract. So I think he spends all of his time in Orlando in that area or back in Chicago. But South Florida, he's just there to hang out for a day or two, and then he's back out of there. Smart kid.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was no shortage of at least a few $1 million worth of a condo, plus
that building
I
has
imagine probably
$20,000-$30,000
a month in condo fees.
Yeah, that building has some stars in it for sure, man. Like the cars and the clientele that's in it. I forgot Tyreek was committed to Florida at one time. I completely forgot about that till we started sitting down and talking, recruiting a little bit. And I'll save some of the interview for you guys to watch it. But it was a dope conversation. And I forgot that he was once a Gator and committed for a few minutes, then ended up at Georgia and then Miami in the portal. Dope stuff.
Well, good stuff. Well, we got an action-packed show for you guys today. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Lucy. If you are looking for nicotine pouches, you're looking for a way to maybe get yourself energized or maybe to chill out, relax, however you might use nicotine, take a look at Lucy. Go visit lucy.co/stadium. All different flavors. They have everything from 2 milligrams all the way up to 12 milligrams of 100% pure nicotine, apple ice, espresso, mint, mango, whatever flavors you might want are available direct to you. If you use the promo code Stadium at checkout, you'll get 15% off of your order, or 20% off of your order. You'll also get free shipping with Lucy. So again, look at the alternatives that are out there on the market. Look at Lucy, lucy.co/stadium. Again, 20% off and free shipping. Here's the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product does contain nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. All right, gentlemen. So last week, we talked a little bit about it, but it happened on, I believe, Wednesday. The Gators landed the commitment of former 4-star and starting safety of the University of Washington, Asa Turner, who is joining the Gators program for one season left. We'll talk a little bit more about him, but gentlemen, what was your reaction when the Gators landed, Mr. Turner?
My reaction was Silk getting a lot of race baiting accusations on Twitter. Big race baiting on Twitter from Silk. People think you were just trying to make some jokes.
Man, you gotta have a good time, man. It's not race baiting, man. It's good jokes. Somebody got in my comments and called him Ahmad White. I thought that was hilarious. I got off Major White.
Major White.
What was the other one?
Those are funny.
Reggie Paleson.
Like, it's just a good joke. We had said on the show last week where I was asked would I accept. I think the kid film is good. He brings a lot to the table that we've been missing in the last few years. Physicality, can run the alley very well, makes sure tackles, just makes plays around the ball. He did battle some injuries out there in Washington, but as long as he's healthy, I think he brings an element to our safety room that we don't have, and is very needed. A veteran guy, and we need somebody to push our young boys and not just gift them starting positions. I know we want to see the young boys get more reps, and we're okay when some of these older guys transfer out, but you're essentially just gifting starting roles. So to bring him in, if Castell or Thornton or one of these young boys beat him out, then we're in a good space. So a really good get, Shout out to Will Harris for closing on the guy that he had before.
Yeah,
I think with Turner and Traquise Bridges, those are two veteran guys, but I think both with only 1 year to play, who are coming in and going to play or compete at safety. I think Jordan Castell has a spot locked down, but like Silk just said, nothing is going to be given. You're going to have to earn those spots, and that's a good spot to be in for Florida. But Asa Turner, the kind of physicality that Florida has, I don't think he's. I'm not going to say he's Keanu Neal, but the kind of physicality that Florida probably hasn't had at safety in 8-9 years since like Keanu Neal and Matt Elam and those guys were playing safety.
Yeah.
Comes with a lot of experience. He's played. This will be his 6th season of playing
Super
football.
duper senior.
Yep, super duper senior. Yeah, I mean he's been fine. Has a, not stats that are going to necessarily stand out, but everybody that talks about him, has said great things. I think he's 6'3", 220, give or take. I'm sorry, 6'3", 200 pounds, 148 total tackles in his 5 seasons of playing, 6 interceptions, 28 starts. So if anything, you're bringing a lot of maturity into that room. The Gators certainly are young in their entire secondary and definitely young in the safety room. Add him, add Bridges, and hopefully another continued year of development from the guys that you already have on the roster. And I think that you should feel a lot more confident about the Gators secondary with the addition of him into that room. Certainly, I think Will Harris, coming in helped land Asa Turner. But again, a good program guy. Hopefully he can come and be an impact player for the Gators. And, I would imagine that he is going to start for the Gators likely. Does seem to be a short tackler. I know Edward just said that in the comments as well. So again, we'll see. But, right now I'm feeling pretty confident in what could be a hopefully improved Gator secondary going into next year.
Yeah, don't need any RJ Moultons coming in here. So I do like his film a little bit better than I like RJ's. And back to it's not race baiting, but we have differences, just like this show. We all have differences. In long as those are intentions, whatever conversations, humor. I'm a big comedian guy, so I watch a lot of comedy, and then comedians always talk about those type of things, differences and whatnot. But as long as the intentions are pure and it's about bringing everybody together and humor or whatever it may be, is not baiting. I'm not doing it to divide. It's always to bring people together and to have a good laugh.
Yeah, let Rashard Mendenhall know we got our safety.
Rashard Mendenhall was wilding with his. That was baiting. You feel me?
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, real quick. Yeah. So I like what Florida's done in the transfer portal. And I know that's a couple of years in a row that fans have not liked what they've done in the transfer portal. But I think Pup Howard's a guy that could start. I think Asa Turner's a guy that could start. Chimere Dike is going to start. Brandon Crenshaw going to start, Slackman going to start, and DJ Douglas is a guy who I think can start at that nickel spot. So I think you looked at the roster and said, hey, listen, we need help on defense. The defense was not good. And you went out and picked up 3-4 guys on defense from the portal that can start. It might not be the Walter Nolan name that fans wanted to go and get, but I think Florida in the transfer portal has looked at deficiencies from the year before and have done a good job to fill those needs, whether it's the 5-star or whatever big blockbuster name or not. We can get upset about whatever we want, but and obviously these things still need to play out. We looked at the last transfer portal class and I thought, man, they really got better on the offensive line. And the narrator then told me that was a lie.
Yeah.
Do you think we've done enough, though? I do like some of the additions we've made, but I think Billy's has to land players on the defense to fix a lot of problems, because that defense was horrid last year. But I think he also needs to land enough players to get a winning record.
Yeah.
And looking at the teams on our schedule, what they've added through the portal, the rosters that they have, why it's a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of unknowns. a lot of teams went all in. And I don't know if we've done enough to get a winning record next fall. So I do like the additions we made, but I don't know if we're good enough to go win 7-8 games with what we brought in so far. And there is another window in the spring as well.
Yeah, I think the spring portal will be active. A hard bottom line note there would be you can't transfer from SEC to SEC. So any transfers you get in the spring portal are not coming from SEC programs. Now you didn't get many transfers from SEC programs. I think is it just Pup Devin Manuel. So it's not like you prioritize that in the first portal, but I think that there will be more action in the spring portal as guys either graduate. There's the NCAA is not enforcing the one-time transfer rule, so you've got guys who could be going to their third school in the spring, transfer to a school, saw that things weren't going to shake out, or hey, the grass wasn't greener here, let me try another backyard. So I think the spring portal will be active, and I think Florida's at 85 or 86 guys on scholarship right now, so they're going to have some attrition from the roster still to go. And what did they have? 21 leave after the season. I think you're going to see more. And this is, the sky is falling whenever guys transfer. But like you just went under 500. So yeah, get some new guys on the roster. I'm not really going to be crying over guys leaving from a 5-7 team.
What is Will Norman doing? I know he entered the portal, but it appears to not have went anywhere. He took a couple of visits.
Going to Marshall.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. And it looks like he'll be going to Marshall.
Okay.
I think I'm picking up what you're throwing down, Nick. I don't know what I don't know, but I think I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. There's really one reason people go to Marshall.
They love the beauty of West Virginia.
That's it. Country roads.
So the only
girls with missing teeth.
Yeah. So Nick, you had it right. 21 outgoing transfers. Technically, there's 22, but Manny Nunnery withdrew. I'm sorry, there was 22. Manny Nunnery would have been number 23.
Well, they're counting Keontae Goodwin in that
there
portal, I think, as well. Yeah.
So Ty Bowman, Carlson Joseph, who was a walk-on, and Adam Mihalik are the only ones without teams right now. So, but again, that group we've mentioned, I think every name: Joey Slackman, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, Shamir DK, Devin Manuel, Trequez Bridges, DJ Douglas, George Gums, Clay Millen, Grayson Howard, Pup Howard, Asa Turner, and then technically Jameer Grimsley is a transfer as well. So 22 out, 11 in.
Very nice.
But no, to answer your question, Silk, I don't know if the Gators are really significantly better as a program. I think that they're maybe a little bit more deep. I think that you have to really hope and pray that your strategy and recruiting pretty well, and those guys continuing to develop is where the Gators need a lot of hope and prayer and just continued development. But I look at the schedule that they have. I look at some of the talent that other teams got, and listen, I know that there's a lot of marketing behind some of these highly ranked 4- and 5-star guys. And that's why when a lot of these guys will announce, no offense to a lot of these recruiting sites, you always know if a player's done well based on their transfer announcement and the picture getting posted, right? They'll say a 2021 5-star wide receiver has committed to Miami, and everybody's like, oh, wow, they got a 5-star. And then you look at their stats and they have like 9 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown, right? Or if they highlight the stats, that's how you can kind of know. But I think a lot of people get, caught up in the hype of this guy was a 5-star in the past, or was a 4-star in the past, or maybe it was a recruitment that you were involved in, or maybe it was a recruitment that you remember notably. It doesn't necessarily translate to that guy still continuing to be that 4 or 5-star player anymore. That was a projection based on high school. Things change. So I guess we'll see. But I think that you can look at some schools really went in and did very well in the transfer portal class, and I think that Florida just did okay. I think that they added some good pieces. I think that Joey Slackman is a really good get. I wish he could have done a little bit more on the offensive line, but I don't know how much closer the Gators are to riding the ship with the new transfer portal class.
Yeah, I was looking forward to what kind of tinfoil hat take you were going to have there, but unfortunately for me, that was pretty measured in your reasoning.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Always measured. No tinfoil hats here, pal.
The offensive line will be interesting to me. So I thought, hey, Devin Manuel is a good player, and then PFF's not the end all be all, but he rated at or below Damian George at right tackle last year for Arkansas, which kind of soured the milk a little bit there. But I think you have options along the offensive line. That's obviously a huge area. Like we can talk about. I did a story, and I think Florida's running back room could be better than it was last year, even with the loss of Trevor Etienne. I've said multiple times I thought losing Etienne was worse for perception than it was for production. I think you get Montrell back. Trayon Webb's really good. I really like Kanan Daniels and Jaden Baugh. So I think you have more pieces there, more depth, and still really talented players. But none of that matters if you're having to break 3 tackles to get a 1 yard gain.
And that's what Etienne did better than the other guys.
Yeah.
I think
he just has more. He had more burst than Montrell.
Right.
So he was breaking his tackle at the line of scrimmage to gain 5, whereas Montrell's breaking his 2 yards in behind the line of scrimmage to get back to the line of scrimmage. And I talked to Jabbar Jalouk about that. And Jalouk was like, yeah, he just had a little bit more burst, but they think that Montrell will have a great year. And I think he'll have probably more carries. I don't know that it'll be the 50-50 with Montrell and Webb that it was with Montrell and Trevor. I think you might get like 60% of the carries, and I think they think that Montrell almost kind of like that Ricky Williams talking about like a Dolphins, like Ricky Williams got better the more carries he got. It's almost like he needed to warm up a little bit. I think they view Montrell kind of like that, which if they're telling me they view him like that, it's like, well, all right, well, it's his fourth year in college. It's his 4th year in college, and you really haven't used him at all like that. So is this a new thought process?
Running back's gonna be interesting to me. I want to see. I love the room, and I love both freshmen that we brought in. I want to see because I heard that Cam Carroll injury was brutal. So I want to see how he bounced back. Montreal and of course Webb are two very good running backs, or good to very good running backs. I think it depends on the freshmen, how they pick up blocking schemes and all of that. But I do think Kanan Daniels and Jaden Baugh have high ceilings. And if they could pick up, pass blocking, fairly early, I think those guys could get some touches and jump into that rotation. It just depends on what Cam Carroll bounce back looks like. How many touches you give him in spring coming off an injury like that. Like, I want to see how we play spring ball, but I think very highly of both of those true freshman running backs that's coming in. And I don't think we miss a beat with Etienne leaving.
I think that Cam would be very limited in the spring. Also, Kanan Daniels played quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. He played any position that didn't involve blocking.
Right.
And the number of times he carried the ball in his Mississippi high school, couldn't imagine he was asked to block even once. So it's going to be a whole new world. Shout out to Aladdin for Kanan Daniels when he's asked to. When he's asked,
we always shout out Aladdin, yeah.
When he's asked to block anybody, let alone, hey, Shamar James is blitzing on this play. You need to stop number 6. All right, bet, coach, no problem. And then you've got a 230-pound linebacker shoving his face mask into your chest, and you're like, whoa.
A lot of blocking is want to, bro. You got to want to put your face in a blender a little bit. And I don't think Trevor Etienne was into that. But blocking is the main part. Like, we fixed the offensive line. We're gonna fix a lot of our problems on the entire offense. So while we do like our running back room, we got to get the O-line together for us to get some real progress and get a winning season next year, which is very important to this whole outfit. Is getting a winning season.
Yep. Speaking of important outfits to get fixed before next season, the Gators are trying to improve special teams and game changing. Chris Couch, as everybody knows, is the current game changer coordinator. As far as we know, still the game changer coordinator, but the Gators did add Joe Houston, who was the assistant special teams coach with the New England Patriots, to their roster of, I guess, unlimited office space in the new football-only facility. So Joe Houston will be joining as a off-the-field special teams analyst. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Can he count to 11? What do we got to do to get on the field, off, special teams coach, whatever that may be? Because I don't know how these off the field roles work, and if they could actually count players and put them on the little circle thing that Nick was talking about to make sure we got 11. But I do like that we're making some type of changes in that department, because we do need to get 11 players on the field, and we also just need to get more. There's opportunities in special teams that we just haven't got any sauce, any juice, any momentum in that capacity. It's just been a big stain on the program since this whole committee or this whole coaching staff has gotten here. So I don't know if this is the fix. I need an on the field coach, but I do like the effort of some sort, but I don't know if this fixes everything that we need. That's my take.
I don't know that. So, and listen, I've probably led the charge about special teams, but I don't know that you need an on-field coach. If you're saying and you're convinced that none of the analysts that Florida has do any coaching while at practice or on the sidelines during games, because that's against NCAA rule, then yeah, sure, you definitely need an on-field coach. But if you live in the real world where the NCAA is not sending NCAA cops to every single practice, and that an analyst might sneak in a coaching word or two, then you don't need to, I guess, quote, waste one of those on-field coaching jobs. I mean, Billy Gonzalez and Jabbar Jalouk both have experience, and coaching special teams is kind of a all hands on deck. Everyone's got like a little bit to do with it. I will say I was given some stats. Take them for what you will, but since 2021, Florida has improved in net punting average, gross punting average, punt return defense, punt return average, kickoff return defense efficiency, kickoff return average and efficiency, and their field goal percentage. There's some hidden yardage. There's hidden yardages where Florida has done better.
It sounds like Florida probably didn't need to hire another special teams coach then, Nick. Huh? It seems like all our problems.
Yeah, if you don't watch the games.
Yeah. Listen,
if you just watch the box score and PFF, but if you turn the game on, we put 8 players on the field or 12 on there, and it's a penalty, and it costs us a field position and a whole lot of other stuff. Then you
congratulations, we've moved punting from 42.1 yards to 42.2.
Important. Tommy Townsend, wildly important for the Kansas City Chiefs last night.
For sure. Shout out to Johnny.
Punting is important. Tommy.
Shout out to both.
Shout out to both. Shout out to the entire Townsend clan.
Yeah. My thing is, who do you hold accountable? Like, the media is going to want somebody to hold accountable when special teams run out the incorrect amount of people.
It's Couch. So Couch is still. So it's an interesting dynamic, because there were 2 guys last year. Brandon Taylor was a graduate assistant. Chris Couch was the game changing coordinator analyst.
Right.
But Brandon Taylor was given more of those game day responsibilities, which, again, not out here trying to dry snitch, but like if you watch the games, Brandon Taylor's doing a lot of what looks like coaching on the sideline as a graduate assistant, and Chris Couch was doing a little bit less. And that was a move they made in season. Now, I was told that Joe Houston and Chris Couch will work together. Couch is not his boss. Houston is not Couch's boss. So Joe Houston is an assistant. Couch is still the game changer coordinator. We fly loose and free with our titles in Gainesville.
You don't like it.
I don't know. We'll see. Obviously anything can happen, anything can change. He does seem to not only have football experience, but he is a former kicker from USC. Was the special teams coach at Alabama in 2020,
Nice.
and then was at Iowa State for 4 seasons, including as a special teams coordinator in 2018. And then again was the assistant special teams coach at the New England Patriots, which certainly sounds to me like he is probably even more qualified than maybe the person that's in the role now. But we've been asking, fans have been asking for improvements to be made. Seems like at least they're trying to throw some Hail Marys, if you will, on trying to rectify and change things. And I know that there's a lot of thoughts and opinions on Billy Napier and this coaching staff, but I think at least there seems to be an effort to be made, right? A lot of questions about the defensive side of the ball, questions about strength and conditioning and nutrition, questions about special teams. I think that there's at least an effort there to try to improve. We'll see. I still think that there needs to be some additional changes on the offensive side of the ball. We potentially have some expiring contracts in the next few days. We're still, we're not. Nick is waiting on some Freedom of Information Act information on if those individuals have maybe gotten extended or not. But I would not be surprised if there's at least maybe one more change to be expected. But at least we're throwing some Hail Marys now. It's a matter of, are those Hail Marys good enough to improve and make the Gators better?
So Rob Sell and Stapleton contracts expire Wednesday. If we don't bring one of those guys back, what additions, because that's 2 offensive line coaches, what additions to the offensive side of the ball do we make? Like, even if you bring in an OC, he has to coach a position group. So how do you guys think that work out? You're muted,
on mute, Nick.
On the OC?
Say what?
Didn't have. If you get rid of an offensive line coach, you have every position still covered. You have a running backs coach. You have a quarterbacks coach. I don't think you would double up on a quarterbacks coach. You'd literally have Ryan O'Hara, who, again, is an off-field analyst, so definitely not coaching during practice or games. But you have him and Billy Napier. Why would you need to triple dip on quarterbacks? Right. You wouldn't need to double dip again on offensive line if you're making that change. You have a tight ends coach, you have a receivers coach, you have a running backs coach. You could just have, hey, this guy is going to float around. He'll spend some time here, some time there, give you an entire feel for what is happening on a day-to-day basis.
That should be Billy.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, that should be his role, to float around.
He wants to coach the quarterback. Dan Mullen had a lot of success, and he literally spent the entire practice coaching quarterbacks. Remember, we all liked the clip, admire the throw. Dan spent the entire practice coaching quarterbacks. I think at the early part of Nick Saban's career, he probably spent a lot of time coaching safeties.
Is Billy Gonzalez contracts up as well?
No,
he's got 1 more year.
Hate to hear that.
Yeah, he's signed through 25.
Very good.
So we will see, but the addition of Joe Houston is certainly it was funny. You had a dichotomy of reactions yesterday when it happened. You had extreme exhilaration and excitement and jubilation amongst the Gator fan base. And then Jacob Rudner, who broke the report, quickly cleared up that Chris Couch would be staying on staff, and all of those cheers of jubilation fell to the wayside. So again, it's not a personal vendetta against the guy. I think Keith Niebuhr asked the question on 3's message board. It's like, do you want special teams to get better? Or do you want Chris Couch gone? Which I don't think the answer was what he thought it was going to be. So interesting to say the least, but the Gators do at least add a coach that has kicking experience, and the Gators could certainly use some help in the kicking department. Let's see. In other news,
We all wait till Wednesday. Wednesday.
Don't do that. Like nothing's going to. I don't think Florida's not going to come out Wednesday. Florida's not going to come out like on Wednesday and be like, "Hey, this is in the NFL where it's like, hey, we've completed 4 rounds of interviews with so and so. Like the contracts are set to expire Wednesday, but you're not going to get like a press release from Florida.
You just got to look for the moving trucks.
That's it. Shout out to College Hunks. College Hunks pull up to one of these houses.
Reach out to AR. He's probably got somebody. Or who was that?
If someone didn't know that was the name
we
of
were
a
recruiting in
company,
Gainesville that had the moving company.
He went to UCF. He's transferred a couple times since then. I forget the young boy name.
Moves himself. But if people didn't know that was the name of a moving company, you just sounded wild. Shout out to College Hunks.
Yeah, show up to his house to move.
Hunks shouting out Hunks.
It's what we do.
If an extension is not announced, then I mean we can speculate some things and start. It's going to get.
They're not going to announce.
Quan Lee, that's his name. Quan Lee. Shout out to Dwayne Grant.
They're not going to.
Of course, they're not going to announce it because they don't want to post it on Twitter and then have to turn off replies like a coward or Instagram because that's exactly what they would have to do.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you that I'm probably not the only. I'm looking at my request right now, which is still in progress, for contracts for Rob Sale, Darnell Stapleton, Jabbar Jalouk, his contract's up as well, Mike Peterson, Ron Roberts, Gerald Chapman, Will Harris, Craig Fitzgerald, Jeff Sankel, and Mark Hockey.
All those contracts are up?
No. I mean, Jeff Sankel, Craig Fitzgerald, Gerald Chapman, Ron Roberts are all new. The contracts that are up are Mike P, Jabbar Jalouk, Stapleton, and Sale.
Nice.
And then Mark Hockey got an extension at some point, which would like
What's
to see
his role?
Fascinating.
If you got a job, right? In every capacity, like all these guys, whether it's couch, hockey, and you're the strength coach and you're the special teams coach, and they bring somebody in after the fan base has been at your neck about strength and condition of the team, the special teams, and they bring in an assistant. Like I'm wondering, like the vibes of all of that, bruh, because essentially somebody was brought in to fix your situation.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully writing's on the wall, but like, why would you leave unless you're forced to leave, right?
Hockey got an extension, you said?
Hockey makes a shit ton of money too.
Yeah, he makes $750,000 a year.
I think he was at what point? One to number 3 or number 4 paid
it was top 5.
strength and conditioning stroke or coach in college football. So,
yep,
stack that bread.
Don't know what he's doing now. Still
Don't
under contract
before either.
Still under contract.
Man, listen, I'm with you when you're right.
Still under contract. They said it would be, Billy said, more of a coaching front office. Basically, just we're still paying you, but you're not doing what you were doing.
Very
I've
good.
seen better results out of Planet Fitness trainers, man. Be honest with you.
Stop that. He had to have been better than Mike Kent, which I would fly with that being a statement.
Dude,
I mean, Mike Kent probably slept through the workout, so I mean that's not hard to do to beat.
Mike Kent had some military to him. It might have only been his haircut, but he did give off a military vibe.
That's the only thing.
Probably the high and tight
military vibe. Nothing else was
probably the high and tight flat top. Yeah.
But yes, definitely better than Kent. Yes, definitely.
Put some respect on Mark Hockey's name, throwing him in there in the Kent realm.
I want to see what's
the
different
tight end coach on that roster as well.
Greg Nord.
The worm.
Oh, he did the worm, man, on the ground. And that was crazy. That was the worst coach in Florida history, like of all time. Greg Nord.
Yeah, Greg Nord and Mike Kent.
No, who was the
and what was it? Kirk Callahan was
the white DB coach. That was here's Silk race baiting again, but
there we go.
That was
Kirk Callahan was trash. He was selling insurance the next year.
Yeah.
Who made that?
Yeah, I think Kirk Callahan was hired because his dad was the coach at Tampa Plant?
Armwood.
Sethman, yep.
Who was trying to get Coward at the time, I believe. Didn't
get him.
Guys didn't get him, and then we had a a short white DB coach that has never played DB at any serious level. So that was horrendous. But still, no, Greg Nord is still the worst coach of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
Jim
know.
McElwain hire.
I was close with a lot of those DBs, and I don't think they listened to a single word Kirk Callahan
didn't.
told them.
They did.
I don't think so either. Kirk Callahan now sells medical devices for Arthrex, so based in Tallahassee. So
He was
quickly out of the football game after his departure from the University of Florida.
McElwain made two of the worst hires in Florida history with Callaway and Greg Nord. Hope the boys are doing all right, man.
Absolutely insane. Let's see. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word, at checkout. Say what?
I'm sorry, man. I just thought I had a thought.
Stadium and Gale at checkout. Anything that you would ever want in vintage type clothing for the Florida Gators, or about 100 different colleges and universities around the United States. Go check out homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Stadium and Gale checkout. I'll get you 15% off of your order. All right, gentlemen, the orange and blue weekend was announced as well. The game will be moving from Thursday back to its original day of Saturday. So on on Friday, April 12th, I can read, I promise you, track and field will have the Tom Jones Invitational. Baseball will be playing against South Carolina on Friday. On Saturday, the orange and blue debut. They're calling it the orange and blue spring football game. So maybe we've dropped the orange and blue debut.
We haven't.
So they have. Okay. So the orange and blue spring football game presented by Florida Victorious will be at 1 p.m. Track and field is going on that day. Lacrosse plays a game at 11:30. Baseball plays at 4. So you can do a quick doubleheader for both of those. And then Sunday baseball will be playing, and men's tennis will be playing. So the event is free, but it's presented by Florida Victorious. Nick, you have any additional color on that?
No, I think we'll get more details about it. It is nice to see, as someone who, because of my job, has like Billy Napier tweet notifications, like to see that he's promoting Florida Victorious a little bit more. Would like him to not do it in 16 consecutive retweets.
Correct.
But I see like Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin will fire off a tweet that's literally just at Grove Collective.
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida should do more to raise awareness for Florida Victorious. The screen behind Billy and the players when they do press conferences has advertising places. Throw Florida Victorious on there. Don't charge Florida Victorious to be on there. Just do it to raise awareness. Billy Napier has a Florida Victorious polo. He has a Florida Victorious cup. Bring that stuff up. Get that logo in front of cameras. And fans get mad at me. Like, I'm not putting it on fans to fund the football program. I think it's stupid that the UAA can't. That's the NCAA rules. That's where we're at. I think it's unsustainable to have a 15, 20, 12 to 15 to $20 million budget every single year to just keep your football team intact and to add new players. But it's the system that we're at right now. There are a lot of big money boosters that are writing checks with 1 and 2 commas to NIL. But you still need the collective piece at every school. And I think Florida has not done a good job of advertising for Florida Victorious, and it looks like they're starting to do better. Now, I don't know if Florida Victorious had to write a big fat check to present the orange and blue debut.
I hope not.
I could probably ask. I would rather the UAA just be like, hey, we're going to throw your name on this because we need to get Florida Victorious's name out there more. The UAA, there's a narrative that the UAA works against Florida Victorious, and I get that. Interviewed Scott Strickland 2 weeks ago now, I think, and asked him, hey, you're going to be asking people for $400 million. And then Scott said, really, to do the swamp renovations right, $400 million is a starting point. And you're going to be asking for $400, $500, $600, $700 million in donations to pay for a renovation, while, you know, that NIL number I said is constant. That's every year. You need to, if you raise $15 million for NIL, that money's gone. And now we need to raise $15 million again for NIL. And to me, it's coming from the same pot. And we hear all the time there's 500,000 living alumni. And I think that you need to get more of them involved rather than just continuing to spew that number out over and over and over again.
Yeah. I don't know how sustainable it is. Just relying on fans and what they're doing in those efforts, while respected. I don't know if it's sustainable watching the big boy programs that are dropping these crazy bags in the portal. It's coming from I'm not telling anybody how to spend their money. I'm just saying what it is. But we're seeing the big players in NIL and in the portal. They have very generous boosters that are, spending some money to bolster those rosters and talent. It could be a combination of two things. Maybe our high-end boosters aren't really super excited about the progress of the program, so they're not willing to just throw their money at the program. So that could be one of the things. But what we're missing is that element of it. It don't look like and it don't feel like we're in this to compete with the top guys. I feel like it's like 4 teams that are about to come out next year with some Avengers on the roster. And then it feels like we're just coming out there to hopefully win some games and get a winning record. It don't feel like we're competing, like, as far as standard wise. I don't think we're making the offseason moves and spending things to compete with the top dogs in the world. That's just my opinion. So, I fan accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
It reminds me of like I remember when Mullen came and Mullen said like we need the fans to come and sell out the stadium before we win games. It doesn't happen the other way around. It almost is like I'm seeing that a little bit with fans. It's like, well, I'm not going to donate money because the team stinks. And it's like, okay, well, the state that we're in now is you need players to win games or the team will continue stinking. But now we're paying players to be on the roster. And it doesn't seem that it seems those things are very mutual and not mutually exclusive. And but listen, it's not on the fans to field a team.
I just think it could have been from a like leadership standpoint. Like we spent a lot of money. We're spending a lot of money. Not we. I'm not. But University of Florida spent a lot of money. People are contributing towards the remodel of the stadium.
Yep.
I think from a leadership standpoint, instead of us throwing hundreds of $millions into a remodel of the stadium, which most fans aren't bickering about that. They're bickering about the acquisition of talent. If you tell those same people that are contributing towards the building funds that, hey, send Florida Victorious that money for we can get talent on the roster. So I think from a leadership a perspective that we could be led a little bit different. Some of these fans don't know about NIL like that. Like we assume that the average fan on Twitter and they know that they need to be contributing their funds toward NIL and not a building or not, a stadium. Some may not know that, and they're going to contribute that money to their university, however, how the university is asking them to contribute.
Yeah.
I don't think we're asking these people to spend money in those regards. I think our direction's a little off.
I think I was told that Gator boosters. There's so many different ways to donate. Like Dan, you went to the business school. Dan could send a check. I'm sure Dan gets calls at least quarterly from UF asking for money. And I think Gator boosters, which a lot of people who wanted to donate to athletics in the past would go through Gator boosters. I think I was told Gator boosters was directing some people to NIL. But yeah, I just think you're in a situation where, and listen, you had to upgrade facilities. I think when Scott Strickland got here, 7 years ago, facilities were bad. There was a baseball player who told me he was on a visit and they didn't show him like the baseball locker room. He came on a visit and it was during football season. So they took him to the football game and they showed him the weight room underneath the football stadium, but like baseball needed a brand new stadium. It was one of the worst stadiums in the SEC, and Florida's softball team had won back-to-back national championships, and their stadium was old and outdated. The Swamp's 94 years old. Like it needs renovations, and they've done stuff. They added Wi-Fi. I think they widened some of the concourses, added new concessions and stuff. I don't know that you need to. The big sticking point is that it's going to reduce capacity. I don't know I know that's not the goal, but also the stadium was built before the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. So it's not ADA compliant. It was just grandfathered in because it was built before that. But if you want to touch and put chairbacks in a section on the alumni side, because alumni want to sit in chairbacks and be comfortable, then you have to fix that entire section and make the entire section ADA compliant. And then when you start doing stuff like that, wider concourses, wider aisles, wider handrails, all of that stuff takes space. That's where you get into, okay, well, now that's taking seats away because the chairbacks are a little bit bigger than the individual painted on number on a bleacher. But the goal is not to make it a 60,000 seat stadium. The goal is to just update it and bring it into current times, which, listen, I don't know. I sit in the press box, so I haven't had an experience in the Swamp as a fan since I think like Tim Tebow, Brandon Spike's senior day. And those tickets were expensive. So we were in the sunshine seats in the north end zone. I could hear God sneeze. I was so high up in the stadium. But like Alabama right now is
just not.
Not stadium. Nothing to do with the stadium.
Alabama right now is asking donors to pay for a new basketball arena or significant upgrades to their basketball arena. So like I think Florida had to do, when Scott Strickland got here, there was a bunch of construction that Florida had to do. I think the football standalone facility, was Scott here, or were they already started the indoor practice facility before Scott got here? But like there was a bunch of stuff that Florida needed to do. They were behind, and now you're in a position where you've spent a ton of money catching up facilities wise, and the game has changed. The game has changed.
Indoor was done before Scott got here.
Yeah, or has at least started. And I know it was Jim McElwain that made sure that they didn't settle on like a 70-yard indoor practice.
Shout out to Jimmy Mack. Made sure the IPF got right.
While he might have hired Kirk Callahan and Greg Nord, he did all right on the practice facility. But they're also.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the problem is they kind of let them go neglected for so long that Florida has a lot of very wealthy boosters, right? But on top of that, you've really knocked on the door of a lot of them, right? Gary Condren, Disney, Gale Lemerand, a few others, right? There's other people behind, right? So for baseball and the indoor practice facility and all these other things that you've done, and now you enter all of that right into NIL. So over the course of like 7 years, you asked for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, oh, by the way, we're going to need 400 million more. Oh, by the way, here's NIL. Oh yeah. And by the way, we're asking you to contribute to programs that like aren't as good as they used to be. And now they're rocking a hard place for Scott Strickland. It's like interest rates are significantly higher than they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So Florida's going to be in a really tough pickle. And I don't know how they get out of it because I don't think everybody's opening their wallet to try to solve the problem, because they shouldn't be asked to do that every time either. So Florida is about to make tens of millions, if not more, every year in just their TV revenue alone. So hopefully we can divert some money from boosters elsewhere.
Yeah. Also, Florida Victorious supports 200 athletes across the 21 sports that Florida has. I think when you donate to Florida Victorious, you can earmark your donation if you want it to go to a specific sport. But if you do not earmark it, that money could go to any one of the 200 athletes that they support.
Very nice.
It's not football Victorious. It's
right.
the University of Florida. and many athletes.
All right. Gators
I do
basketball.
like what Harrison said. Dan has not.
That's surprising.
Dan has not. Millionaire Dan has not given a single red penny
To what?
to Florida Victorious or to any of the Florida athletes.
I seen Dan dropped a couple bags that I know of, man.
Yeah, that's fake news, Nick. That's
Fake news,
that's vastly incorrect.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that is a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. Unfortunately, I have given many of my hard-earned pennies, even full dollar bills, to NIL, and without even a thank you. Many.
No flowers, man.
That's okay though. Let's see. Basketball, 2 big wins, including a game over the University of Georgia. I fired off a tweet. Wasn't even watching the game. Just looked at the score and I was at a Gasparilla party. Saw the Gators were up by like 21. I was like, that Mike White is a clown. Almost came back to bite me. Some random FSU fan said, I almost came back. And I said, well, your team's on a 5-game losing streak now, so you can go pound sand. But Gators win a couple this weekend. They needed those. Nick, let's talk baseball quickly. We've been going on for a little while now, but D1 Baseball selected Jack Caglione as the SEC preseason player of the year. Give us kind of the rundown on baseball. High level, very high level.
Listen, we'll keep it quick here. Not the highest of levels. I think Jack is my thought will be, how does Jack handle this? Because Jack's getting a lot of pats on the back, and rightfully so. I mean, he set the BB Core bat era home run record last year. He hits balls 450 feet and can throw them 100 miles an hour. There's not many people in the world that have that kind of ability. So he absolutely is going to be in contention for the Golden Spikes Award, which is like the Heisman for college baseball. He was a finalist last year. He should be probably a front runner along with a couple other guys. But Florida should be really good. They have a ton of power. They have some really good pitching. It will be a lot of their season will be determined on how their young pitchers. They have a ton of freshmen and sophomores who they'll need to count on. Baseball's a little different than football. Florida has had no problem relying on freshmen in the past. Alex Faedo, Brady Singer, Jackson Coher, all played major roles as freshmen. So like I said, baseball is a little bit different than football, especially when you're looking at a sport where you can get drafted out of high school and be playing professional right away. I'm worried about Florida's defense, but I think they will pitch and hit really well. But the staple of Kevin O'Sullivan's teams have been pitching and defense, and I don't know that this will be one of their better defensive teams, but they could break the home run record that they set last year.
I was about to say,
yeah, I think they set the record for most home runs in a season last year. And listen, you lose Wyatt Langford, who had back-to-back 20 home run seasons, but you add Colby Shelton, who will play third base. He was a freshman All-American last year. I think freshman player of the year in the SEC. He hit 20 home runs for Alabama. Brody Dene is a transfer catcher. He'll catch, play first base, DH. He can play in the corner outfield too. He's a guy who can hit 20 home runs. You get Cags back. Luke Heyman's back. Ty Evans is back. So they will be able to hit the ball out of the yard. My big question for them right now is, what will the defense look like? Home runs are exciting. Chicks dig the long ball.
I dig the long ball, man. I'm not a chick, but I went to that Miami game last year. He's just watching Florida baseball last year. A lot of big hits, a lot of home runs. When we seemed like we was out of games, those guys were able to make comebacks off the stick, man. So just interested in see how the batting works out this year and the pitching works out this year. Who's the most valuable player on that team right now in your mind?
Yeah, there's going to be a couple. I think the way the weekend rotation plays out, your Friday night guy, Friday is such a tone-setting night. College baseball, momentum is a huge thing. So Cade Fisher, who you guys will think that the guys who you think would be able to step in Friday and set the tone. Cade Fisher pitched really well last year. I think he only made 2 starts, but he'll get Friday. He's the guy that I think Florida's going to count on a lot. And then at the back end of games, Brandon Neely is going to be really important for Florida. He played that role as a closer last year. He'll be back in that role. And then obviously, Jack Caglione, Jack Tani himself. I think those are 3 guys that I would put a lot of pressure or importance on.
Well, we will be curious to watch. We're a couple weeks away.
Yeah, shoot. February 16th. So 2 weeks from Friday? 3 weeks from Friday?
2 weeks from Friday. All right. So just a few short weeks away from the start of baseball. Basketball plays against Kentucky this week, I believe on Wednesday. So that will be exciting to watch. AJ in the comments here saying that only one-time donations to Florida Victorious can be earmarked. I think after that, it probably just goes into a general fund. And then Johnny Cromwell, how can other programs do this? I would imagine it's balance, NIL, and building, and Florida cannot. You guys have any thoughts, or just is what it is?
How you guys other programs do these things? I would, like I was saying, I think it's a lot to do with overall belief in what you got going on. That matters. And this economy, man, it's just the willingness of wealthy boosters. A lot of all of this is hinged on that right now. It's payroll. The university can't itself pay these kids, so you're relying on. This is not name, image, and likeness. This is pay for play, but the fans and also wealthy boosters are paying those salaries right now. Can collectives get maybe creative with how they raise this money, or the business models to bring more funds in? That's an avenue, but I don't think it's a lack of from the school per se, because the schools aren't paying out of their pockets to these kids. And I think that's the future of college football, is when the NCAA or college football, the actual programs are paying salaries to the players. Of course, a lot comes with that, but yeah, you're just in a sticky situation. If you have a coach that you don't believe in, I think those donations slow down traditionally anyway.
Yeah, and I think they're going to slow down anyway. I think a lot of donations, I think a lot of money to NIL. I think the numbers that you used to hear thrown around are not thrown around as seriously as they used to be anymore. There's still a lot of money. But I also think that, for a lot of people that have made a bunch of money, the idea of them just throwing it away without getting some sort of return on that investment, or some sort of ability for that individual to be marketed, right? If I'm wealthy and I'm rich and I built a business and I have the opportunity to give and donate money, am I going to do that to support my favorite football team, or going to do it to try to make more money for myself? Right. And it's hard to say. And I know that everybody wants every mega wealthy donor of their favorite sports team to say, hey, why aren't you just giving your entire lot of money to the football program? I would say, even if you do, there's still a lot of just questions about whether the person that would want to take that money wants to come to your school. You still have to get that individual interested in your program. But on top of that, are they going to pan out? Right. We've seen a lot of players go to a school for a lot of money to sign with them that never did anything. And how long do you continue to take those hits financially for yourself before you're just like, hey, I just don't want to do this every year for the rest of my life. Right.
Yeah, imagine you give Ewers $1 million that first year at Ohio State, then he goes to Texas that next year. Like, if that's your $1 million and that's your school, you're probably not sleeping well after that happens, bro.
Cutting
and then all of the fans on the fan base are mad. Why won't you just give another $1 million? Right? Just do it again. Right? Now we need 2 million. Right now we need 13 million.
Idiot! You gave $1 million to the wrong guy. Cut another check. Yeah. We have a new guy for you to pay.
What an idiot, right? And then you get dragged by everybody knows the one fans on Twitter that will just drag you for whatever you do. But again, it's this idea that you have to do it in perpetuity. So I'm very curious, and I know that that's the way that college football is now. But I think that the fact that the SEC and ESPN are signing multi-billion-dollar contracts and none of that goes to the players. And on the flip side, we're just now asking all the boosters to just give all of their money to fund everything else. Oh, and by the way, fund all of these players too. It's kind of asinine and ridiculous when you think about it. But that's the world we live in today.
I think it's gross. Like you have to ask Billy Napier, Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, hey, we need more NIL money. All right, cool. Let me write a check. No, you can't do that. Well, I make $10 million a year. Like I can put $1 million into my roster. That makes sense, right? No, that's against NCAA rules. We'll just fire you for cause, and then you'll make none of that $10 million. So I think it's unsustainable to continue asking, what is the ROI on paying players? If I had $1 million to give and I give $1 million and they buy a bunch of players.
Nathaniel Rogers said boosters should invest. Individuals should invest $20 million a year in recruiting alone.
What's the ROI on that?
It sounds like Texas got FU money like that. Like Texas is like, look at Texas roster. And you just go through and you could just kind of like guesstimate what they're spending. The quarterback room alone, you got the Manning boy and some studs that are sitting on the bench. And those guys were 5-star quarterbacks that you got to pay big bankroll. The running backs, they come and snatch whatever they want out of Florida, whether it's backs or whoever. They're spending big bread on those rosters. Some of these programs have FU money. And that's why I said earlier, it feels like there's the big dogs and then there's us. And, you know, like we're not serious about competing at that level right now. And that's just being real. What happened with I seen there was some news that came out this past week. I be touching grass a lot, so I be missing it. But there was some reports coming from the whole Rashada situation, correct?
Yeah, Florida's being investigated.
I don't think anything new has come out since last week.
No, and you don't know what is new. So basically, the NCAA was looking into any big reported NIL deals. Obviously, the NIL deal, which was now been heavily reported on, I think we were all told, who were trying to cover it, that we were idiots and that there's no way Florida offered $13 million, and we were wrong and stupid. I think all of them apologized to us when the number came out, and certainly it wasn't wrong, or it wasn't wrong. Stupid, but yes, but not wrong. So the NCAA sent a notice of investigation, an NOI, which is different than what you would normally hear reported, which is an NOA, a notice of allegation. So the NOI would come before the NOA. It doesn't mean anything for Florida unless the NCAA has evidence or can prove that Billy Napier or another member of the University Athletic Association was involved in negotiating that number for Jaden Rashada. So if the Rashadas had, emails, text messages, voice memos, voice recordings of somebody from Florida saying, hey, here's the number, or even at the point before Jaden is on campus and negotiating that number when everything seemed to be falling apart. Hey, we'll fix this. We'll get this right. If the NCAA can prove that somebody from the UAA or the coaching staff was involved in negotiating a NIL deal with a high school athlete or even a college athlete, then that would run afoul with current NCAA rules and regulations. So until we see any evidence that the NCAA has that would tie Billy Napier or a UAA employee to that, then we've got nothing new.
If I'm the Rashadas, I'm trying any way I can to recover. I don't care if it's $1 million of that $13 million. I'm throwing whoever under the bus to be able to recover and sue for some type of portion of that.
And the part that would hold a student athlete back from doing that would be their eligibility. But if you look at the Amaris Mims situation with Georgia and FSU, how does the NCAA know who took Amaris Mims to that NIL meeting And how do they know what the number would be? Well, the NCAA is offering immunity to student athletes. Hey, we're trying to make examples of some people and some schools with NIL. It's what the Wild Wild West is, fast and free. We need to make examples out of some schools, and maybe that'll clean things up. So there's no way the NCAA knows who took Amaris Mims to that meeting or what FSU was offering, which, by the way, that's a normal contract per month. Like, people were like, oh, FSU is paying so much. And I'm like, that's pretty standard. That's a standard Caleb Douglas agreement at Florida.
100%. I wonder what would shot up in any of it's, because in California, like, high school players can negotiate, get these type of checks. So I wonder what could kamikaze him in this whole situation. I don't know if there's a lot that could. He could talk and negotiate all of these terms without having any issues with the NCAA.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I don't think I'm from what I've heard behind the scenes, I don't think there's a lot to be worried about as far as the University of Florida and the coaches or anything like that being catching any bullets here. But we'll see how it all works out with collectives and people involved and all that. There's still a lot more to unfold and to happen.
Well, that collective's no longer. But yeah, and also the NCAA moves roughly as fast as the federal government or your state government when doing their investigations. So, like, this could end as we record this podcast. It could end next month. It could end in 2025. Most likely it'll come out like during the bye week right before the Georgia game, because that seems to be the kind of catastrophe that has surrounded the Florida program since I've been here. But yeah, there's nothing imminent in terms of a resolution in this matter.
Alrighty. Well, let's get out of here today. Nick, you have song of the week, so think about that for a second. Also, over the next few minutes, On 3 will be announcing the rest of their 5 stars and the rest of the On 300. The Gators will have 2 players, LJ McCray and DJ Lagway, in the top 10. So good get for the Florida Gators there. But as always, let's give one quick final shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com. On Archer Road, or go visit them. Anything that you would want for Gators apparel, clothing, decorations, accessories, tailgate supplies, whatever it might be, men, women, children, and everything in between, go check out Alumni Hall or on Archer Road, or go visit them at alumnihall.com. Everybody, thanks for watching live. Please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, colleague, family member, whatever it might be. Nick, you have song of the week. What do you got, brother?
Let's go with Creek Will Rise by Connor Smith.
Creek Will Rise.
Creek Will Rise by Connor Smith. Well, very good. Well, everybody, we appreciate you hanging out, same corner, same time, and we will see you all next week.
Already.